Hello guys and welcome. This is Imran from Imstech, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to create text transition effects with particle explosions, and we're going to sort of disperse our particles, and I'm going to show you about 3 or 4 different type of effects, and they're all sort of very similar with just slight adjustments, so you can pick the ones you like. The first one I'm going to show you guys is this one. So if I click and I move this from left, so it's kind of starts off like a grey, sort of a red cloud or whatever that is, and then as it sort of goes across, it becomes a little bit cleaner. And I'm just going to render this just to show you what this looks like, and it sort of tidies up, and you get your text. So that's one of the ways of doing that. The other thing I'm going to show you, which is the more well-known version of this, is just swiping across. So it starts off with nothing and then it becomes something, so you don't get that red cloud at the start that I initially showed you guys. So that's one of the ways, and then there's also like this sort of transformer effect. So if I just show you guys what that looks like, so if I start off like this, and as you move out, so initially you'd start off like this where you can't read anything, and as you move closer it sort of starts to become clearer what the text is, and that actually looks quite nice when it's actually rendered and it plays. It looks quite transformer-ish. So let's get started. I'm just going to start with a blank. Now the first thing I'm going to do is click on more graph, and then I'm going to press more text, and I'm going to type in some text. I'm going to type in Imstech and hit the enter key. Now the next thing I'm going to do is on my attributes panel, I'm going to increase the depth so it becomes a little bit deeper. So about 180 is fine with me. And then I'm going to also change the subdivision, and this is really important. You want to go to about 70, 80, not too much more, because it takes forever to render. Now what this is doing is it's splitting the text into separate sections, so that when we actually add our particle effect, it actually disperses into small little bytes. So the more subdivisions, the smaller the little particles will be. So that's the first step. The next step is going to be clicking on more graph and click on poly effects. Now what you want to do is add the poly effects as a child of the more text. So what I'm going to do is click on poly effects, and I'm going to drop it down into the more text. Okay, so now it's become the child. I'm going to click on poly effects and then click on transform. Now this column right here where it says X, Y and Z, where it's actually 1, so I'm going to change them to a 0 or a 0, because we want to start off with nothing and end up with something. Okay, so that is quite an important step. Now the next thing that's really important is clicking on a fall off, which is also on the attributes panel, and we're going to be working with fall off quite a lot. Click on shape, and I'm going to change to linear. Okay, and you can see some things appeared, but we're going to change the orientation to -x. So I'm going to change that to -x. Now what I'm going to do is just move my poly effects. So I'm going to click on poly effects, and then I'm just going to move it across so you can see we've sort of got our text to appear and sort of disperse, but we need to sort of make that a bit more, we need to add a bit more creativity to that. But before I do that, I'm going to put my material onto my more text, so we can see it clearly. Now I'm going to click on poly effects, and I'm going to go to fall off, and this is where I'll show you the first effect. So if over here where it says fall off, I'm going to change from 50%, and I'm going to increase that to about 100%. So you can see what 100% looks like. If I decrease, if I increase, and if I decrease, so you get the gist of what that does. And then over here it says clamped. So if I uncheck clamped, what it does is it'll give me the particle effect beyond where the poly effects ends. So you can see it's actually gone beyond. So this was like the transformer effect that I showed you guys earlier on, where when we went to the back it was, kind of crazy. But for this one, if I go to the fall off and I decrease the fall off, that's when it becomes wild, and then it becomes sane again, so to speak. And if I increase it, it becomes a bit more contained, a bit more natural, and a bit more believable, if you like. So that's one thing, that's one of the effects. Also, the next effect has a bit of randomness on it. So you click on more graph, click on effector and press random. So I'm going to click on random right there, and So if I go to poly effects, it should have attached some random effects. And now this is particle effects with a bit more of a random twist. So this was the first effect that I showed you guys. So this is, one of the ways. So this takes it away from the transformer style and makes it more particle type. And again, if you sort of decrease the fall off on the fall off panel, if I zoom out, you can see it's kind of gone really wild. So that I don't know if you prefer that. You might not, you might do. So that's just something to be aware of. Also, if I click on random, you can see where it says 100 at the moment. If I change that to about 500, it sort of gives me more of an insane feel about it. So if I click on poly effects and I move this across, you can see it's kind of scattering, and then I'm going in all over, and then it comes together again. So you can see that by changing certain things, by tweaking the settings a little bit, so you can increase the strength of the randomness, you can keep the randomness, you can delete the randomness, you don't obviously need to have the randomness. Also, you can mess around with the fall off, you can mess around with the clamped, and these are sort of the settings that will allow you to create sort of these kind of cool, nice transition effects. And I personally like this one with the clamped off and the fall off to about 60. So it starts off, looking a bit messy right there, as you can see here, and then as the effect progresses forward, it calms down a little bit. Now I'm just going to show you guys, for those who are not familiar with animation, really quickly, just a quick minute on how to animate this. So what I've done is I've moved the poly effects to the leftmost point, and then I'm on my 0 frame. So where my mouse is, that's actually the frames timeline. So I'm going to click on 0 frames, and I'm going to press this button right here, which is going to set a keyframe. So I'm going to set the keyframe. I'm going to press the key right here. Then I'm going to uncheck the keyframe, and then I'm going to move to about 100, maybe 60. The longer you want it to take to sort of appear to its final state, the more frames you want, really. So I'm going to move that to the frame to about 100. I want to move also the poly effects to the end where it's actually clear, and then I'm going to press this keyframe again. I'm going to press the key, and then I'm going to uncheck the keyframe, and then if I actually play this now, you can see it will hopefully animate, and it's doing it slowly because my machine's not working too fast at the moment because I'm screen recording, but you get the gist of it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the tutorial. Make sure you thumbs up the video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I've made many other Cinema 4D tutorials, so go check them out as well, and do spread the word, because it is kind of a ball ache making these videos, so I do appreciate as much support as I can get. So take care and peace.